In this section, we're going to learn about the growth and development in all the domains about infants from birth until 12 months old. So when a child is born, they have no voluntary control over their body during the early weeks. They sleep most of the time, but they're still aware. Crying is their primary mode of communication, and that tells their needs and also it tells about their emotions. Their perceptual, cognitive abilities are present, but they're very primitive, and it's difficult to distinguish during this period in this particular domain. Some information about physical growth in the first month. Normal, typical birth weight babies are between 6.5 and 9 pounds, although we know people who have smaller babies and people that have larger babies, and they're perfectly normal, but this is where the majority of the babies fall. 5 to 7% of birth weight is lost during the days immediately after birth. A baby typically gains 5 to 6 ounces per week during the first month. Their length, a typical length at birth, is between 18 and 21 inches. The head is large in proportion to the body, and the soft spots on the baby's head, they're called fontanelles. There's 2 of them. There's one in the anterior, right here in the front, and one in the back, in the rear, the posterior. At this age, the baby cries without tears. The baby's eyes are sensitive to light. They kind of see only outlines and shapes. Their reflexive movements are swallowing, sucking, gagging, coughing, yawning, blinking, and elimination reflexes. They root, which means they bob their head around and look for the nipple. They startle. If a baby hears a large sound, their arms fly up and they jump and sometimes cry. They grasp at things and hold on to things and don't seem to ever want to let go. They have what's called a stepping reflex, and they pull their legs up, and they move their legs back and forth like they're stepping in air. The perceptual cognitive development is the development that in the domain that has to do with their senses. What do they hear and see and taste and feel? And so hearing is the most developed in this area. The baby will respond to the mother's voice and is soothed by quiet cooing and humming noises, and also what we call white noise, just kind of that shh kind of noise. The baby is responsive to touch, especially around their mouth. Right here, that area is very sensitive because a baby, when they feed, they might feel the nipple there and they turn towards it, so they're very sensitive there. Their vision is present but is limited, and they are attracted to high contrast. So black and white seems to be what babies at that age are attracted to. They can briefly focus their eyes on objects, especially a face. They can briefly focus their eyes looking at their mom, maybe at about 12 inches, but then they soon might go cross-eyed. That doesn't mean that they're going to be cross-eyed, it just means they can only focus for a short period of time. They blink their eyes at an object that's fast approaching, so if an object came at them like this, they're going to go and blink a lot. They can follow a slow-moving object in a 180-degree arch, like that, but probably much slower than that. They look at their own hand and study their own hand. They prefer to listen to their mother's voice, and they distinguish some taste and show preference for sweets. So they turn towards preferred odors, and they turn their head away from unpleasant odors. So they might recognize their mother's scent and turn towards that. In speech and language, the way that they communicate is crying and fussing. They react to loud noises by blinking and moving when being startled. They show preference for certain sounds of human voice and demonstrate preference by quieting down. They turn their head towards sounds, and they make occasional sounds other than crying. Now in this age group, the social emotional development, they have a brief period of alertness during the day, but for the most part they sleep. They sleep about 17 to 19 hours per day. Seems like they're always up in the middle of the night though, doesn't it? They like to be held close and cuddled. They open their eyes and they look at their mother. They bond with their parents and their caregivers. They develop a gradual sense of security and trust. Now during this time they feed usually about 6 to 10 times a day, taking in about 22 ounces during a 24-hour period. They cry when they're hungry. They signal a need for their diaper to be changed by crying. They usually enjoy their bath. They don't like to be dressed with something coming up over their head. They prefer to be swaddled. A baby that's birthed to 1 month might have 1 to 4 bowel movements a day. They sleep in 4 to 6 periods of time throughout a 24-hour period, with one of those being a little bit longer than the other. They prefer light and brightness. They stare at faces that are close. They're content to be on their back most of the time, and they enjoy being touched and held. Some things that you should look out for is if the child is slow to startle or alarm, if there's any problems with sucking or swallowing, if the child has little gain in weight, if the child has an unequal grasp of strength, they should be able to grasp with both hands at similar strength. If the child doesn't make eye contact when it's really close, I don't mean close like this, but close like 12 inches. If the child doesn't roll their head from side to side, or they can't be soothed when crying.